This week, I've been thinking about a comment I read on one of our multiple videos where we were complaining about the second half of Resident Evil Requiem. It was something to the effect of, you guys are too cynical, you just don't know how to have fun anymore. And I've been kind of fixating on that sentiment all week. Obviously, my first instinct was to go, oh, piss off, you whiny little turd murderer, which admittedly does feel like the sort of thought a cynical person would have. A comment like that comes from far too bootlicky a place for my taste. I might have dismissed it as coming from someone who spent hard-earned cash on something, making a knee-jerk defense of their purchase so they can avoid confronting the thought of having been shat on once again by a vast monolithic conspiracy of dreary tosh merchants whose interest in you ends the nanosecond you loosen your grip on your money. But then I thought about the notion that it's possible to not know how to have fun, or to be bad at having fun. Like what separates my experience with Resident Evil Requiem from my correspondence is some kind of skill gap. I mean, I respect the notion that it's possible to have fun with anything if you try. The worst game in the world might be at least amusing to form a drinking game around with your mates, or you could fire the disc out of a clay pigeon launching machine and obliterate it with a shotgun, assuming you did buy it on a disc for Christ knows what reason. But if we all put on our happy hats and sang together in glee that every game has at least some kind of fun available in it, wouldn't that undermine the entirety of media criticism as a concept? We'd have to give 5-star ratings to every game, movie, and book on the basis that at least one person out there would probably like it. I can't envision an example of a piece of media that nobody of any mindset in any situation could ever enjoy under any circumstance. Sorry to have to bring out this old chestnut, but there's no such thing as an objective review. Not that people don't try, though. It wasn't quite to my taste, but I could understand why someone else might like it. Wow, what a fucking bold take. I'm sure that someone else is deeply grateful for your permission to like the thing, oh great man of understanding. Perhaps you could follow that up by blowing up some balloons for their children. That way we can put all that air coming out of your lungs to some actually fucking useful purpose. Sorry, this is triggering something in me. That kind of broad mollifying statement is precisely what's wrong with this world today. It's toxic positivity is what it is. It's the reason Steam is choked with shitty low-effort indie games and porn. It's why Netflix is full of bad cheapo horror movies with names like Halloween, Shark, Exorcist. It's also why that idiot president keeps coming on camera and saying everything's going perfectly well, and the economy is booming and our dead dog's coming back, and very little of the Middle East is currently on fire. It is the world that results of nobody having the balls to tell people their shit sucks. Whoa, okay. I took a quick pillow punching break and now realise I might have gone a bit far there when I implied that somebody having fun with the second half of Resident Evil Requiem was indirectly complicit with the downfall of Western civilization. But the problem at the root of all this is the fundamental difference between the mindset of the audience and the mindset of the critic. I worry that to the author of the comment I'm talking about, I've basically turned into Donald Pleasance in that one episode of Columbo where he plays a wine merchant, in which he has a full-on screaming trousers-down tantrum in a restaurant because his refined palate detected the slightest imperfection in the expensive wine, while literally everyone else in the restaurant thought the wine was fine and he was a nut bar. Is that what I've become now? Trousers down wine merchant Donald Pleasance? I can't help the fact that I've played more video games than most people, that I've been spoiled by the classic games of history, and now my bar for good video game has been set quite a bit higher than the average person's. It comes with the job. But doesn't that raise the question, what use then is the critic's perspective to a wide audience? What possible service is wine merchant Donald Pleasance providing to the world by talking shit about a wine that almost everyone besides himself would think tastes perfectly fine? Well, I would argue that his purpose is probably more academic than day-to-day. Sure, most wine in the world would do the job if you're just getting the gal pals around to cry over a Jude Law film of an evening, but sooner or later, someone needs to figure out which wine is the best, because that is something bigger than any of us, something that needs to be recorded by the annals of history. I mean, at the figure skating event of the Olympics, the judges don't get up at the end and say, yes, you all seemed basically competent and what's most important is that everybody had fun. You need to know who's getting the gold medal, so that we can add another little notch to the great line chart of humanity's progress to show how we're doing on the figure skating front. So now I'm analysing it. What bugs me about the comment that started all this is that it comes from a place of ignorance. Saying I just sucked at having fun at a game implies the assumption that I went into it with having fun as my main objective. It'd certainly be nice to have fun, and that'll certainly skew the eventual review positively, but I'm playing it for my job. I'm going to be writing about it, analysing what works and what doesn't, and trying to create a persistent record of all that for the benefit of future progress in the medium. I suppose I feel belittled by someone saying I should have just turned my brain off and approached the game like a regular person. I don't claim to be an expert, Dunning-Kruger effect and all that. Only non-experts call themselves experts because they don't know enough to know how much they don't know, but I like to think I've worked hard over the years to know a lot of things about video games, and to see all of that simply dismissed out of hand from a commenter on the wrong wavelength, well, it makes me think of the wave of anti-intellectualism and resistance to expertise that the internet has fostered over the last few decades, that has led to vaccine rejection and the rise of populist strongman governance. Whoops, there I go again. begin, equating a dodgy YouTube comment with the collapse of society. Where am I going with this? Well, all I set out to do here was start with the comment that gave me an iffy feeling and then gradually unpack all of my thinking until I could reach some kind of pithy, definitive response. So here we go. Piss off, you whiny little turd murderer. Could probably have saved us all some time.